All right, let me give you a little bit of a background on me. Anxiety and social anxiety particularly is something that's always affected me. I always had very low self-confidence and I was super critical of myself. I overthought everything. I'm talking insane amounts of overthinking. And when it really affected me most is in social environments and with attractive women, or any women to be honest, right? I couldn't make new friends. I couldn't, raising my hand and oh man, I would never ask questions in a meeting or in a class. No freaking way. Not even close. I was off the table. And the reason is that realistically, this anxiety affected me so intensely it'd make me throw up. That's how intense it got. And you know, it's some people might be able to relate to this, and I'll tell you some funny stories. I remember very clearly when I would get into a class or any room, any place with a social environment, I immediately looked for where the bathrooms were in the building, and I'd look for where the trash cans are, and I would have a backup plan in my head in case I had to throw up, because I constantly felt like I had to throw up. Going back to university was brutal doing that. Going into school, any class I was doing, I was always right by the door so I could quickly run out and escape and no one to see me puke. These things were absolutely traumatic for me. Now, I have some crazy stories with this. I'm talking like I couldn't talk to bank tellers. I couldn't like call people up. That it was like very like really limiting, and I felt like I was a prisoner in my own mind. It was brutal, and I couldn't express myself. That was off the table. Being able to do this, like talk to a camera, no freaking way. Being able to put my ideas out, no, not even possible. And I'll tell you a couple funny stories. I remember very vividly, I liked this girl, and I was like, man, you got to do this. I always push myself. I always try to push myself with this stuff, and I would push myself to the point of puking always. And I went through everything. I thought part of me was like, should I just get used to this fact that I puke with girls and like I just like sell it off like it's like, oh, I puke. Like I don't know how to sell it right, but like that's what I thought. I was like, maybe this is just who I am, and I got to accept that. And and from there I just I hope for the best, right? Like I just sell it like it's a cool thing. It's like I get so amped I puke. Like, want to see something funny? Like I didn't know how I was gonna sell it, but I went through that period where I was like, let's just get used to this. But I knew this was not something I could live with. This is not something I even wanted for who I knew I was. And so I went and I started studying intensely all this stuff. I literally looked up everything I possibly could get my hands on how to make change in individuals. Now, go back to this girl, though. There's a lot of experiences like this, but this is one of the more humiliating ones, the ones that I laugh at now, right? So it's I remember I would go on the bus every single day and I'd see this girl. And I went to school with her and such, but we took the same bus home. And every single day for like fucking months, I'm like, I'm going to go and ask her. I'm going to ask her out. And I always chickened out. There's just no way. I would like immediately feel nauseous. And I'm like, nope. Like put my headphones in and like, whoo, and like try and calm myself down, right? And like use meditation and mindfulness and things like this. But, I was getting so frustrated. It was the summertime, and this was the last time I was probably going to see her for the entire summer. And I was like, okay, I have to do it. If I don't do it now, I'm going to regret the whole summer. I'm going to hate myself, right? I got to ask her. So as I'm getting ready to do this, I'm getting so nervous. I feel that puke coming on. It's riling up. And I went and I took my jacket at the time, and I was about to puke. I puked into my sleeve. I kid you not. Like, it's pretty good strategy. If you think about that, that's a pretty good strategy for a public puke sort of thing, right? Like on the bus with all your peers, I'm like trying to keep it hidden, and I'm like so fucking embarrassed, but I'm like, forge ahead. So I walk up holding my sleeve filled with puke, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And I go and talk to her, and she's like, oh, hi, how's it going? She's super friendly and stuff like that. And I was just like, yeah, so I was just wondering if I could have your MSN, right? Because back then it was like MSN Messenger was like the thing, right? So I was like, I'll get her MSN and we'll go from there. And she's like, yeah, totally, I'll add you. I think you're like friends with so-and-so. I was like, cool, yeah. Awesome, thanks. Oh man, that'd be awesome, yeah. And I was like, couldn't believe I was fucking there. She's like, oh, let me give you a hug. She's like, are you excited for the summer and stuff? And I was like, yeah. She goes to give me a hug, and I'm like, and I just like loop over her. I'm like, pull her, and she's like, what the hell? And at that point, I think she could probably smell the puke or something. I don't know. Like it was embarrassing. I was like, okay, and it wasn't even my stop. I get off, and as soon as I get off, I was like, oh fuck, what the hell, right? The doors close, and I'm like, oh god, and I fling my arm, because I'm like, what the hell? I fling my arm to get the puke out, and I slice the bus. The puke flies out and slices the bus, and it's like, right over the side of it, and she's looking at me through the window, and she's like, when she sees this thing, she's like, what the hell? And then you could see that she like recognizes it's puke, or at least this is what I thought, and I'm like, And I'm looking at her through through the glass of the window of the bus, and it's like, and it's like going away slowly. And I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna think about this all summer long. And now it's like, it's summertime, so I don't have contact with any other people from school. So I think, and she's like a pretty popular girl, it's like, holy shit, she's gonna tell everyone. So I spent the whole summer like in my head, like, oh God, I'm screwed. I gotta transfer schools. Like, she knows I puked. I know, like, and I was going off with this. Funny thing about this, I get back to school, like, she had no idea. She didn't even remember any of this stuff. I was like, I went and I had this whole speech prepped. I was like, so, I'll be honest, I puke when when this sort of thing happens. And I was like ready to give this whole, like, I'm sorry sort of thing. I hope I didn't embarrass you, blah, 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 blah. She had no idea when I was like, hey, do you remember that when I got your MSN or whatever? And she's like, sorry, what? And I was like, like on the bus, like a couple months ago, like when I asked for your MSN, like she had no idea. Like it was like not even a reality. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? And I left the scenario, but long story short, that's where I came from. That's where I came from. And that's one story. It was a brutal thing. I laugh at it now, right? Like this sort of thing. And as you'll learn, your anxieties now will be your amusements later. Remember this, your anxieties now will be your amusements later. When I look back at all the things that were embarrassing or super anxiety provoking, that like freaked me out at the time, I laugh about them now. Now I'm just like, oh my God. In fact, there's part of me that's like, I wish I could get back there. I wish it was, I could talk to that guy, But realistically, that's what it's like. If you think about any of the times that you're anxious, like maybe you did like a play or some sort of thing, or maybe, you talked to someone, it's embarrassing, and during it was probably very painful. But when you look back on it, you're kind of like, man, that's hilarious. I was like, holy shit, right? When you're coming from a new frame, it's like, man, that's awesome. This is what I want for you. And not to puke in your sleeve and stuff like that, but I want that transition, and I want to be able to do this for you and help guide you through that process without the embarrassment, without the brutal rejections, without any of this overthinking. I want to get you right down to the nitty-gritty of what gets results. So I was able to do it in my own life, I'm able to do it in my clients' lives, and we're going to do it in your life as well. Get excited. I'm super excited to get started with you. I'll see you in the next stage.